Okay, and we are going. Let me make sure microphone's all good. I'm good. We're all good. This is the most excited I've been to do this podcast since I've started doing it a couple weeks ago because it is the first annual Flagrant Sports MMA Awards 2021. It's a wrap. We're into 2022. I know we're 6 days in, but hey, better late than never. It's not like I'm doing this in February. We're only 6 days into the new year. I'm giving out my awards. I've got, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I got 11 awards to hand out. 11 men and women to congratulate. So let's get right into it. Our first award is KO of the Year. And I tried to stick to 4 nominees, but some of the awards I had to give a bunch of nominees to because there's a lot of people who needed the respect and they needed to be shouted out. So, KO of the Year. We're going to go with the nominees. Let me give the nominees first. I almost gave out the winner first. Okay, nominees. Yuri Prohaska versus Dominic Reyes. That incredible spinning elbow. That was just amazing. Completely flatlining Dominic Reyes. Usman versus Masvidal. That knockout shook the entire sports world. Just a crazy moment. Sergio Pettis versus Horiguchi. He was losing the entire fight. Came with that spinning back fist for the win. Oh my God, doesn't get any better than that. Corey Sandhagen versus Frankie Edgar. A flying knee from hell. And Edgar was completely stiff. I want to give another, I didn't write this down, but I want to give another shout out, another nomination, why not, to Chito Vera versus Frankie Edgar. That was a great knockout that a lot of people aren't talking about. That front kick. And then final nomination, Rose Namajunas versus Zhang Wei Li. The head kick of all head kicks. Maybe, I was about to say maybe the greatest head kick in women's fighting history, but then I just remembered Shevchenko versus Jessica Ai. Yeah, maybe the second greatest. I don't know. But, so those are my nominations. And the winner is Yuri Prohaska versus Dominic Reyes. KO of the Year. The first ever award handed out of the most prestigious award show in MMA history. So, congratulations, Yuri. What a great knockout. Now, we're on to Submission of the Year. Let me slow this down a little bit because I feel like I'm rushing it. I gotta enjoy the moment. This is huge. I haven't even really given an intro. I gave like a 10-second intro and we're right into it, but screw it. Submission of the Year. We have, for the nominees, Andre Muniz versus Jacare. You know, that arm bar where you snap Jacare's arm. I believe the only submission loss in Jacare's entire career. That is just insanity for him to do that. And he called it. He said, I'm going to submit Jacare, and he did it. That is crazy. We have Anthony Hernandez versus Adolfo Vieira. Obviously, Anthony Hernandez was a huge underdog going into that fight. And not only just a huge underdog, like no one expected him to submit Adolfo. Like that wasn't even in the discussion. No one was even considering that as a possibility for this fight. So the fact that he was able to submit a BJJ master like that is just, that's insane. Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes. You know, not the most technical submission. We all know it's not like the craziest submission in the world. It's not like the most impressive, but the moment. It's all about the moment with that one. Like that submission was pulling off. That pulled off the greatest upset maybe in MMA history. So that it needs some respect for that. It needs some attention, if you will. And then my final nomination for Submission of the Year, Amanda Nunes versus Meegan Anderson. Just a dominant fight. And I believe the fight was only like a minute long. Just takes her down. It was like like a reverse triangle armbar. That deserves some praise. But my winner is Anthony Hernandez versus Adolfo Vieira. I mean, I feel like you have to go with that one. That is just crazy. And I do want to give a shout out, not a nomination, but a shout out to Oliveira versus Poirier. Great submission win. Let's see if I'm missing any. Glover Teixeira versus Jan Blachowicz. Yuri Prosk. What am I talking about? Hamzat Chimaev versus Li Jing Liang. Islam Makhachev versus Dan Hooker. All fantastic submissions, but they didn't make the nominees. Maybe next year, guys. Maybe next year. All right. Now we have Rookie of the Year. Now, this one is a little bit complicated because it can mean a couple different things. It can mean someone making their MMA debut. It could mean someone joining a new promotion. So it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to be like a young person to get this nomination. For instance, here, let me give you my nominees. Casey O'Neill. I believe she went 3-0 this year. All 3 by knockout. Paddy Pimblett. Not the most impressive, year, but still a very good knockout in his first fight in the UFC. And obviously a lot of his personality goes into that Rookie of the Year nomination. Manon Fiorot, 3-0. I believe 2 by TKO, 1 by decision, maybe 2 by decision. I can't remember. But she looked phenomenal this year. And then Michael Chandler. And that's the one I'm talking about. Obviously, Michael Chandler is a Bellator champion, well-established MMA fighter at this point. There's no doubt about it. But he was a rookie in the UFC, so he gets the nomination. And he is also my winner for Rookie of the Year, Michael Chandler. It doesn't get any better than knocking out Dan Hooker, fighting for the title, and then having one of the greatest fights of the year with Justin Gaethje. Doesn't get any better than that. Like, I feel like you have to get Rookie of the Year for that. You, completely shook up the MMA world coming to the UFC. So, it doesn't get any better than that. So, congratulations, Michael Chandler. Now, we have Personality of the Year. Now, you may be asking, what does that even mean? Personality of the Year is someone who basically, they, obviously are good fighters, but they affected the MMA world not just with their fighting skills, but with their wit, with their abilities on the mic, their abilities over social media, all that stuff. So, Personality of the Year is it's a very fun award to give out too. Here are my nominations. I got Paddy Pimblett. Obviously, we know that his first fight, he gave a pretty legendary post-fight interview talking about, I should be in the game next week. I forgot what else he said. We Scouses don't get knocked out. That's horrible. He had a lot of great moments over social media. He was awesome as always. Sean O'Malley, he always just, that hair alone should get nominated for Personality of the Year. He just gives great interviews, great over social media, fun guy, great hair, all that stuff. He's a great personality in general. Had a great year too. 3 wins, I think. Yeah, 3 wins. Derek Lewis. Now, he did have a loss, this year in which he was very serious, looked very nervous, but that Chris Dawkins moment, he talked about how he doesn't want to get Rodney Kinged on ESPN. A little controversial, but can't deny it's kind of funny. And then him throwing his cup into the audience, and great interviews, all that stuff. You got to give to Derek. Derek Lewis is always great. You have to give him a nomination. And then Tai Tuivasa is my final nominee for Personality of the Year. The Shoey has become an iconic celebration at this point. He has quickly become a lot of people's one of their favorite fighters, mine included, just because of how fun this guy is. You saw him on the McGregor card, doing the shoey. You saw him at 269 doing the shoey, both with great knockouts. He's just a fun guy, how can you not like him? Bam Bam, that's iconic. But my winner is Paddy Pimblett, just because of the fact that it was something, it was new. We've seen Derek, we've seen Sean, we've seen Bam Bam. This is something new. So, these are my awards too. So if you don't like these, wins, who cares? These are my awards. Okay, this one is interesting. Most Improved Fighter of the Year, because this could mean a lot of different things. This could mean, most improved to what? Last year, your last fight, early in your career. The way I looked at it was, how the NBA bases it, last year. How are you improved based off of last year? And my nominees are Francis Ngannou. Obviously, he looked like a completely different fighter going into that Stipe fight. You compare how he looked against Rosenstruck to how he looked against Stipe. He looks like a completely different fighter. I mean, knockout wins in both of them, but he just looked completely different. He looked like a complete fighter out there. So I believe he deserves a nod. Juliana Pena, coming off of a loss entering 2021, I believe, to having 2 wins, and one of your wins being against the greatest of all time, you got to get a nomination. It's required. Kai Kara France, excuse me, kind of living up to his nickname this year, Don't Blink. Great knockout wins, obviously the big one against Cody Garbrandt to end the year. I think he just had a great year, really showed his potential, and shows that, he's really one win away from a title shot. So if that's not most improved based off of, last year, I don't know what it is. And Kamaru Usman. Now, a lot of people will think I'm stupid for putting Kamaru Usman in most improved fighter of the year, given that he ended the year last year, 2020, as the champion, and I understand that. But you know what? He's also my winner. He wins most improved fighter of the year. And you know why? I think I just think just because you are at the top of the heap doesn't mean you can't improve. Whenever Steph Curry won the 2014, 2014-2015 MVP, and then went on to win the 2015-2016 MVP, he got tremendously better. His efficiency, his volume, his assist numbers, everything got better. But people didn't. He should have gotten most improved, because even though he did win MVP and he won MVP again, there's levels to this game, and I think Kamaru Usman just went to another level. His stand-up looks so good compared to how it looked against Jorge in their first fight. He went from having like a safe decision win in their first fight to completely knocking him out cold. He went to having a piston for a jab. He went from having a war with Colby. He just looks like an amazing complete fighter. Not that he didn't already look like an amazing fighter, but he's just taken it to another level. This is not the same fighter we saw in 2020. So for that reason, I'm giving it to Kamaru Usman. He is my most improved fighter of the year. If you don't like it, sorry. Coach of the year. This is probably the second, honestly, maybe the easiest one to pick. My nominees are Trevor Whitman, obviously going 3-0 with Usman, going 2-0 with Rose, and going 1-0 with Gaethje. And one of those nights, he went 3-0 himself, in one single night. We all know 268. That was an incredible card for him. Incredible night. But, he has completely transformed his fighters and has given them all incredible stand-up games. Usman becoming this really good stand-up fighter. Great jab, fantastic otherworldly power. Rose, impeccable footwork, just great boxing, great kicks. Gaethje going from being this madman to this, very calm and collected. Still kind of wild, still, has that Gaethje in him, but is a lot more, disciplined. Coach Habib is another one of my nominations. I can't even tell you how many fighters he had win this year that he was in the corner of. James Krause and Mike Brown, but come on, we all know who the winner is. It's Trevor Whitman. He has completely transformed his fighters. Going 6-0 this year, that is just crazy. All right, now we have card of the year. I could include some, Bellator, some PFL. PFL had a really good finale this year, but let's be honest. The UFC runs this, they will always run this award unless Bellator comes out with something crazy, or PFL or ONE FC. The UFC is always going to run this award rather. And my nominees are UFC 261, incredible card. First one back with fans. You had Usman versus Masvidal 2. You had Rose versus Wei Li. You had Shevchenko versus Andrade. You did have the Chris Weidman leg snap. That was kind of nasty to watch and unfortunate. But the entire card just felt magical with the fans back. And you had 2 magical endings with, you had Shevchenko being dominant as always. But, that's nothing out of the ordinary. But having Rose win the way she did, having Usman win the way he did, just phenomenal. UFC 269, man. You go from having Kai Kara France with the knockout of Cody Garbrandt. You had Sean O'Malley with a incredible performance. You had Charles Oliveira submitting Dustin Poirier. And then you had Juliana Pena pulling off the upset of all upsets. That was one of the, obviously one of the best cards of the year. That's why it's nominated. But, man, it's just, I can't even do it justice just talking about it. UFC 268, Madison Square Garden. Whoo, that would have been, that was a crazy card. I don't know why I said would have been. My brain just always goes to that. But what a crazy card. You had, obviously, the Colby-Usman rematch. You had, let's see, who else was on that card? Let me look it up. I'm kind of blanking, not going to lie. Oh, you had the Rose. Oh, it's coming back to me now. You had the Rose versus Wei Li rematch. You had Gaethje versus Chandler. And then you had the craziest of craziest prelims. Let me see if I'm... Marlon Vera knocking out Frankie Edgar with the front kick. And then let me get to the prelims, because you had some crazy prelims. Alex Pereira having a great debut with that flying knee. Bobby Green and Ali Quinta. You had... what's his name? I'm blanking again. Chris Barnett. Wheel kick KO by a heavyweight. Man, crazy. And then UFC 267. I feel like that was an underrated card. You had, obviously, the Abu Dhabi card. You had Glover submitting Jan Blachowicz. You had Corey Sandhagen versus Petr Yan in one of the best fights of the year. You had Hamzat choking out Li Jingliang. You had Islam Makhachev submitting Dan Hooker. Just a great card. Doesn't get any better than that, to be honest. That was just a great... Let me see if I'm missing anybody else on that card. I don't want to skip anybody. Nothing else really of note. But, man, crazy card. And it also kind of helped that it was free. That was pretty cool. But my award goes to UFC 268 MSG, mainly because of the prelims, like how great the prelims were. You had a bunch of crazy finishes, some great debuts. Ian Gary was on that card. Forgot about Ian Gary. Just phenomenal prelims, phenomenal main card. Kicking it off with Gaethje versus Chandler. Oh my gosh, it doesn't get any better than that. But now we go on to Fight of the Year. This one is one of those where the nominations are more than 4 just because they need to be. Chandler versus Gaethje. Jan versus Sandhagen. Rafael Fiziev versus Bobby Green. Max Holloway versus Yair Rodriguez. And Brian Ortega versus Alexander Volkanovsky. What a great... This is the best year for MMA ever. I don't care what anyone says. This is... Man, look at these fights of the years. Man. My winner is, honestly, Petr Yan versus Corey Sandhagen. That was a great, just 5-round technical chess match with some great moments, man. Corey had his moments. Petr Yan had his moments. Interim title on the line. I just feel like it was so fast paced. Man, both those guys put up both great performances. Not to say that the other fights weren't fantastic. I mean, Gaethje versus Chandler was just pure chaos. Same with Yair versus Max. Same with Fiziev versus Bobby Green. Ortega and Volk, going back and forth, almost getting submitted, almost getting knocked out, all that stuff. just great fights this year, but I'm going to give it to Jan versus Sandhagen. Now, we got Performance of the Year. This one was a little hard to come up with. I have a lot of nominations for this one. I have Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori in that fight just looked like he didn't even belong in the same octagon with Adesanya. And that was so surprising given, their first fight was pretty close, split decision. I don't think Vettori won that fight. I don't even really think it was close. I think he definitively won one round and Adesanya won the other two. But a lot of people are thinking, oh, they have the blueprint to beat Izzy now because of his loss to Jan. And Izzy's like, nope, I am still the GOAT of the middleweight division right now. Right now, obviously, Anderson Silva being the GOAT in general. But, he's like, I'm just going to be an incredible defensive wrestler for this fight, and I'm going to school you on the feet. I'm going to make you headhunt. I'm going to make you just, be content with doing nothing in the clinch. He just completely outschooled Vettori, and you can't even deny that. But, yeah. Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar. Literally a record-setting performance. Topped off with one of the best moments really in MMA history with Max screaming to the commentators, I'm the best boxer in the UFC. It doesn't get any better than that. He put a beating on Calvin, and it's kind of concerning watching all of that, but he really did. That was tough to watch, if I'm being honest, but incredible performance by Max. Yuri Prohaska versus Dominic Reyes. That was just an absolute mauling, topped off with my KO of the year, Crazy performance from Yuri. That was the fight where you saw Yuri and you were like, whoa. Because he had a win before that. I can't really remember who it was against. But, he had a really good win. But then you saw it against Reyes and you're like, wow, this dude is scary. Like, he should fight for the title right now. Like, this dude is terrifying. No one wants to fight this dude. And he's still waiting on a title shot. I believe he's next in line. Cannot wait for that fight against Glover. Then I have Ciryl Gane versus Derek Lewis. Part of me kind of feels bad for putting this on here because it really felt like Derek Lewis was he was very nervous because of the home crowd. It felt like the home crowd was really getting to him. He said that in the interview yesterday with Ariel Helwani. He said, if that was in a different place, and I know he's not trying to make excuses, but he's like, if that fight was in a different place, I think it goes a different way. And I agree. I think if that's in the Apex, I think that's a much different fight. But it wasn't, And Gane was just, man, Lewis couldn't even touch him. Gane was everywhere. Everywhere that Lewis wasn't, And he was just piecing him up, getting the knockout in the third round, incredible. And, Lewis did look very gun-shy, to be fair, but still, you cannot take away the performance of Ciryl Gane. And that is going to be a great fight versus him and Ngannou. But, yeah, let me get to the rest in a second. Let me get a sip of water. Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes. First round was a Nunez round, in my opinion. I think everyone had a Nunez round. But just the simple fact that she pulled off maybe the biggest upset of all time, I feel like she deserves the nod, the nomination. It's just because, of the moment, And a lot of her nominations that I have are simply just because of the moment. But that was such a great moment, So, definitely got to nominate her performance against Nunez. And then I have, speaking of Nunez, Amanda Nunes versus Meegan Anderson. Just complete domination. Meegan, it didn't even look like she belonged in there with Nunez. I know I said that about Vettori and Adesanya, but this one is especially true because Nunez just took her down and then submitted her. It was just nothing even happened. It's why did we even watch that? There was no point in watching that. Nunez made it look like no one was ever going to beat her. No, excuse me. That's why the Pena upset was so crazy. And then I have Volkanovsky versus Ortega. Maybe not the cleanest performance by Volkanovsky because he almost got submitted 3 times. But still, to persevere from those submission attempts, He really brutalized Ortega. I know we remember the submission attempts that he escaped from, but one thing that kind of gets forgotten about that fight a little bit is just how much Volkanovsky put it on Ortega. He just completely brutalized that man. It was really concerning to watch. Same with the Hallway versus Calvin Kattar fight. Just hard to watch. Let me take off my sweatshirt real quick because it's getting hot in here. Can't lie. All right, sorry y'all. It was just getting really hot. I was like, I don't know if I don't want to interrupt it for me to take off my jacket, but I can't take it anymore. So yeah, those are my nominations, and I'm giving it to Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar. Like I said, just record-breaking. Like, that was historic. That was a historic performance. We thought coming off of that, we didn't know what to expect coming off of Max losing to Volkanovsky. We didn't know what Max we were going to get because, he's coming off of 2 losses. We didn't know what to expect. And then he's like, you know what, I'm coming out better than ever. And I remember Joe Rogan saying to Max Holloway whenever he came on the podcast after that fight, it's like, you don't understand how good that performance is unless you understand how good Calvin Kattar is. Like, Calvin Kattar is a beast, man. And for Max to put it on him like that is just crazy. Okay. We're kind of flying by these. I'm really trying to slow it down, but, I just don't have anything else to say about these nominations. So we only got 2 awards left, I believe. Did I skip anything? Nope. We got 2 awards left. And those are Fighter of the Year, male and female. I'm going to start with the male Fighter of the Year just because it's the most obvious. But let me give my nominations still. Kamaru Usman, Ciryl Gane. I got to build up the anticipation. Kamaru Usman, 3-0 this year, 3 title defenses. Knocking out Gilbert Burns, knocking out Jorge Masvidal, having a war with Colby Covington. Just a fantastic year. He really submitted himself as the number 1 pound-for-pound guy this year. He looked incredible. Ciryl Gane, let me look up how many wins Ciryl Gane had this year. I think it was 2, maybe 2 or 3. Ciryl Gane, because I know he beat was it Volk? Who was it? Yeah, Volkov. He beat Rosenstruck, Volkov, and Derek Lewis, obviously. So going 3-0 this year as well, getting the interim heavyweight title, just outclassing his opponents, really, especially Derek. Incredible. I say that a lot. I need to stop saying that so much. And then we have Charles Oliveira knocking out Michael Chandler to win the lightweight title after overcoming some adversity in that first round. And then submitting Dustin Poirier after, overcoming adversity again in that first round. Or was it second round? I don't remember. But 2 great come-from-behind performances by Oliveira. 2 finishes over 2 of the best guys in the lightweight division. He's proven everyone wrong this year. A lot of people thought that Chandler was going to beat him. I wouldn't say almost everyone thought that Poirier was going to beat him, but a lot of people felt like Poirier was the best lightweight in the world going into that fight, including myself. I had Poirier winning, but you know what? Doesn't always happen like that. And then Brandon Moreno. Let me look up Brandon Moreno's record. Obviously, he capturing the flyweight title. That might be his only win of this year. Because I think his first fight with Figueiredo happened in December of 2020. Let's see. Yeah, his first fight with Figueiredo happened in December, but then he captured the flyweight title in June of 2021. He just completely outclassed Figueiredo, and that's a great win just because Figueiredo is so dangerous to deal with. I'm not looking forward to their third fight, if I'm being frank. I feel like Moreno has established himself as the better fighter. But you know what? Figueiredo can always put an end to that because he has crazy power. You never know, but I'd rather him fight, like have a rematch with, what's his name? Jeez. I should have had some notes ready before I started this. He went to a draw with him. What's his name? Askarov. That would have been a great rematch. Maybe against Kai Kara France. Any of those guys, But I guess we'll get a third fight. Why not? Hopefully it'll be a great fight. Both their fights have been really fun, First fight, crazy fight. Second fight, still an entertaining fight, but, very Moreno heavy. But anyways, my winner is Kamaru Usman. All of y'all, that's everyone's pick. I don't know anyone who picked anyone but Kamaru Usman for male fighter of the year. Number 1 pound for pound. 3 title defenses. We know all this, Female fighter of the year. This one was a tough one for me. My nominees are Rose, getting the title back for the strawweight championship with a devastating head kick of Zhang Weili, and then defending it in a very close decision. I had Weili winning it, but it doesn't matter what I think. She won it. Rose got it, and she was able to defend her title. Was against the same person, both her fights, but who cares? 2 great performances by her. Then we have Juliana Pena having a win earlier this year in January, I believe. And then beating Amanda Nunes, obviously, was the cherry on top. And, that win alone could have gotten her on this list. She didn't even need a second win. She's been winning this fight since 2016. She finally got it. She told everyone, I'm going to beat her. I know how to beat her. Everyone called her crazy. Everyone predicted Nunes to win. And she defied all the odds. Just crazy. Valentina Shevchenko. How many fights did Shevchenko have this year? At least 2. She beat who did she beat? She beat Jessica Andrade this year. She beat. Let me just look it up. Valentina Shevchenko record. She beat Lauren Murphy. That's right. Beat Jessica Andrade. Okay, so 2 wins, 2 title defenses, both TKOs, just looking as dominant as always. Especially her win against Andrade, just very impressive. Both of them, really. But and then Kayla Harrison. I believe she went 4-0 this year, and all that, to capture the PFL women's title. Dominant, just really no fight was ever in doubt. Just looking like she's in a completely different league than the rest of those gals in the PFL, which she is. She's got a big free agency coming up, but fantastic year for her. But my winner is Juliana Pena, just because of how incredible that upset was, how incredible it truly was. She did what everyone didn't think she was going to do. She proved them all wrong. And man, congratulations to Juliana Pena being Flagrant Sports Female Fighter of 2021. Such a prestigious honor. So those are my awards. I paused it for a second to kind of felt like my brain was going everywhere, just trying to come up with all these records and all these past fights and trying to think of everything. So those are my awards. Let's go through the winners one more time, just real quick. KO of the year, Yuri Prohaska versus Dominic Reyes. Submission of the year, Anthony Hernandez versus Adolfo Vieira. Rookie of the year, Michael Chandler. Personality of the year, Paddy Pimblett. Most improved fighter, Kamaru Usman. Coach of the year, Trevor Whitman. Card of the year, 268. Performance of the year, Holloway versus Calvin Kattar. Fight of the year, Jan Sandhagen. Male fighter, Usman. Female fighter, Pena. So there you have it. Great year. The best year for MMA, I think, ever. I don't know how you can top this. Sorry, just put my notebook up. I can't wait for next year. This gets me excited to do the awards for next year. I kind of want to. So we're about 35 minutes in. I guess I could give some predictions to kind of end off this podcast. I guess let me go through the champions. I'm gonna give y'all, even though I did this on TikTok, let me do it again. I'm gonna give you who I think the champions will be to end this year. That being 2022, of course. So at flyweight, and I can give a more in-depth answer, whereas my TikTok, I kind of just had to give a quick little answer. Flyweight, Brandon Moreno, I think he will still be the champion going into 2023. He just is so well-rounded. He's taken out already the best that there is right now in Davison Figueiredo, so there's not much left to prove. He went to a draw with Askar Askarov. That'll be if he can win that one, man, it's gonna be incredible. He'll probably when is he fighting? He's fighting January, so he might fight 2 other times this year, since he's already getting an early start on the year. So yeah, I could see him beating Figueiredo and then potentially beating Askar and then Kai. All right, Bantamweight. I think obviously we'll see a new champion in the Bantamweight division. I think it'll be Petr Yan. I think Petr Yan will go down as the greatest Bantamweight of all time. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think he'll dominate Aljo in the second fight. I will say that fight just got announced for March 5th, I believe. Same with Holloway versus Volkanovsky 3. So that's going to be a great card. But I will say, you cannot underestimate Aljo. People just think because of how the fight ended that for some reason Aljo is just this bomb and he's not skilled at all. Aljo is one of the best fighters in the world. The way he won it was a bit strange and weird, and we all get that. It wasn't a real win. It was a DQ. All of us are aware of that. But you cannot underestimate how good this guy is. I think Piotr's going to win, and I think he's going to win handedly, but you cannot overlook a guy like Aljo. He's too good. He's too good to overlook. But with that being said, I still think Petr Yan will be the champion going into next year. Featherweight. I think Max Holloway will be the champion. He's getting the damn belt back. God damn it. I don't like to curse on this show, but I'm still mad that he lost that second fight. I remember watching it, just being so mad. I thought Max had it in the bag. Well, not that definitively, but you know what I'm saying. I thought he won it, and I was really disappointed when he lost it. But you know what? He's getting it back. You cannot fight a guy like Max Holloway 3 times and expect to win all 3 of them. It's really hard to beat a guy 3 straight times, especially with the war that Volkanovsky just went through with Ortega. Max just went through a war too. But you know what? Max has always gone through wars. He can take that. I don't know if Volkanovsky can take going through wars. Same thing happened with Stipe. I feel like going against DC in their first fight. Going against a war with Ngannou in that first fight. I think it wore him down. I think we could see that with Volkanovsky maybe. So yeah, Max Holloway will be the featherweight champ going into 2023. So already we have 2 and news. Lightweight. I don't want to make it seem like I'm underestimating Oliveira, but I think he's going to lose the belt. And I think he's going to lose it to Justin Gaethje. I think Justin's a bad matchup for him. Because although we know that Charles is great on the feet, crisp, elite boxing, I just don't think he's going to be able to knock out, Justin. Really, it's so hard to knock out Justin. And especially the way Justin has been fighting recently against Tony, against Chandler. This guy's really hard to beat. And he is incredibly hard to take down. I think Oliveira is going to really struggle trying to take him down. And I think if Oliveira is not able to take him down, Gaethje's going to knock him out. Because Oliveira has shown to have a weakness with his chin, He gets knocked down a lot. He doesn't have a lot of head movement. And he's going to have to if you're going to go against a guy like Justin Gaethje. Because Gaethje is probably the hardest hitter the 155 division has ever seen. So I think Gaethje's going to knock him out, man. I really do. I think he's a bad matchup. A lot of people said I'm stupid for thinking that. I don't want to underestimate Charles. Charles is a great champion, but, man, I think it's Justin's time. but I think Islam later that year might beat Justin. So I think Islam might be the champion going into 2023, although I think Gaethje will get the belt in the meantime. Welterweight, I still think it's going to be Kamaru Usman. There's not a whole lot to say about that. After the busy year he had this year, 3 fights, I think he might just fight once, maybe twice this year. And it'll be against Leon most likely. I don't see Leon winning that fight. The only way I could see Leon winning is Usman in his last couple of fights. He's really fallen in love with his hands. And you got to be careful falling. Golly, I've been burping all day. I'm so sorry, y'all. Sorry. And you gotta be careful falling in love with your hands going against a guy like Leon. Because Leon is the better striker. He just is. There's no doubt about that. And I could see just possibly a scenario in which Usman, for a couple rounds, just really falls in love with his hands, and he's looking for that knockout shot, but Leon's just outclassing him on the feet, which he very well could. I think we're going to see, wrestling Usman back for that fight. But Leon's not hard, he's not easy to take down. We saw that in the Bilal Muhammad fight. As short as that fight was, Bilal could not get Leon down. All right, middleweight, I still think it's going to be Adesanya. No surprise there. I mean, I think he's going to have a close fight with Whitaker. But I don't see anyone else in that division beating him. He's beaten Whitaker. He's beaten Vettori twice. He's beaten Brunson. He's beaten Costa. We don't even know if Costa's going to fight in middleweight anymore. And then the rest of the list, Jack Hermanson and Sean Strickland are going to be fighting soon. I love me some Sean Strickland. I don't know if he has the skill set to beat Adesanya. Darren Till's in a lot of trouble. Uriah Hall, he's kind of in a weird spot right now. Gastelum, Adesanya's already beaten him. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't see anyone in that division beating him besides Whitaker, but I think he still beats Whitaker. Glover Teixeira, I think Yuri Prohaska will beat Glover. Even though I think there is a way Glover could win that fight. I think I could see a scenario in which Glover just dominates him on the ground. That definitely could happen, but I think Yuri's just a very hard puzzle to figure out. So I'm going to go with Yuri Prohaska will be the new light heavyweight champion. Then heavyweight, I'm going to go with John Jones just puts a monkey wrench in all of this because we don't know when he's going to fight. If we know for sure he's going to fight this year, then I'm going to take John Jones. If we don't, I don't know. Because I was going to say Francis. I said Francis on my TikTok. But then I remembered John's in the mix. And also, this is going to be Francis, this is going to be his last fight on his contract. What if he leaves, So I think the safe answer is John Jones. So I'm going to go with John Jones. Even though I think Francis beats Ciryl Gane, that's going to be an incredibly close fight. Stipe's always in the mix. It's going to be a crazy fight. Let's see. Have these been updated yet? Damn, these haven't been updated yet. What the heck? Because Derek Lewis hasn't been moved at all. All right. Now the women. Rose, I think she'll still be the champion. I think she beats Carla Esparza in the rematch. Rematch Rose, I like to call her. She's always looked great in rematches. She looked great against Joanna in the rematch. She looked great against Andrade in the rematch. Although I think Weili won, she still did enough to win that fight in the rematch. So Rose is undefeated in rematches. And has put on some some of her best performances of all time, in her career, in rematches. So yeah, Shevchenko will still be the flyweight champ unless she retires. Enough said about that. I think Manon Fiorot will challenge her this year, and that's going to be a great fight. That's my prediction for that division. Women's bantamweight. This is tough. I think Nunes gets the belt back. I think she does. I think she gets it back. And I think she'll fight Shevchenko for a third time. And then she might retire. She might defend the featherweight championship one more time, and then retire. That's my prediction. So I think Nunez, and then featherweight Nunez. I think she gets the belt back. She's going to do it. I don't think you can underestimate Pena, obviously, especially going into a rematch. She still has more to prove. So, yeah, I don't think it's fair to overlook someone like Pena, especially given the performance she gave us in the first fight. So, I don't know when that fight's going to happen. Maybe in April or May. Who knows? I can't wait for that rematch. There's going to be a lot of great fights coming up. But yeah, so those are my predictions going into next year, at least for the champions. I mean, I could come up with a more in-depth list. I might come up with some kind of crazy predictions like, this person will be fighter of the year or this person will retire, stuff like that. I might do that later on my TikTok. But yeah, so those are my awards. The 2021 Flagrant Sports MMA Awards. First annual. Cannot wait for this upcoming year. We got some great fights, some great champions, all that stuff you already know. And then I gave y'all my predictions for who the champions are going to be by the end of the year. Book it. Put your money on it. It's going to be 100% correct. So yeah, those are my awards. Those are my predictions. Thank you guys for watching. I'll probably see y'all. Let's see. Today is the 6th. I think the 15th is when Cater and Giga are fighting. So I don't know. I might just wait until that event's happened to do another podcast. We'll see. I'll let you guys know. Thank you guys for listening. I'm going to try and get video on this podcast very soon. All that good stuff. Yeah. I'll catch y'all later. See y'all on TikTok. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. Say, you're here from TikTok, whatever you want to do. I don't know. I'll see y'all later. Peace.